Be a part of the team when the Mets host the Los Angeles Dodgers. Sunday afternoon at 1:30 here on Channel 9, your station for sports.
Well, they're playing the curly shuffle here at Shea, so anything can happen in the bottom of the ninth. This copyrighted telecast presented by authority of the New York Mets and WOR-TV. It is intended solely for the private, non-commercial use of our audiences, and any publication, reproduction, retransmission, or other use of the pictures, descriptions, and accounts of this game without the express written consent of the New York Mets and WOR-TV is prohibited. Rusty Staub will bat for Howard Johnson as we go to the bottom of the ninth inning. I guess he's batting for Doug Sisk. I thought Sisk was batting. That is correct. Gardenhire batting in the number 9 spot. Rusty batting for Doug Sisk, leading off in the bottom of the ninth, and it's 4-3 Los Angeles. Ball 1. Ball 2. Rusty hitting only .267. I say only .267. That's not that shabby when you pinch hit all the time. As a pinch hitter, Rusty is 3 for 12 with 1 RBI.
Rusty will sit on a fastball on the inside part of the plate right now.
Up and away. 3-0. As you see, much of the crowd standing. And that's ball 4. Niedenfuhr issues his first walk. And the Mets have the tying run aboard, and here comes Ron Darling to run for Rusty Staub.
Well, this is a very dangerous time. You hate to see starting pitchers running for anybody. They come out there cold, and this is going to be a bunt play right here by Gardenhire, I assume. You see Ronnie stretching it out. He is scheduled to start Monday night against Jerry Royce, but really that's really all you have to use, because Terry Blocker pinch hit earlier in the ball game. You do have Kelvin Chapman, but he may be the hitter for Backman in case the Dodgers use a left-hander.
Gardenhire takes after squaring around. Guerrero and Brock both charging. I think too Davey might be thinking, Timmy, what if this game goes into extra innings? And again, your point about Chapman pinch hitting for Backman, well taken. And it's a good bunt. Brock will have to go to first. Gardenhire may have hurt himself running down the line as he sort of stumbled over the bag, and Darling advances to second base with 1 out.
And this is the right play. You're happy to play for a tie when you're the home team. Good Met bullpen. Still got Roger McDowell and Jesse Orozco, and it did appear that Gardenhire tripped over that bag.
Darling representing the tying run for Mookie Wilson with 1 out. Mookie is 4 for 4. He has single to left, single to right, had an infield single that drove in a run in the 5th, doubled to left in the 8th, and scored a run. And there's Roger McDowell, who will more than likely be the next pitcher if we go to extra innings. Mookie skies one to left. Maldonado hardly has to move as he was playing fairly shallow, and with 2 out, Darling stays at second.
Second baseman, Wally Backman.
So here's Wally Backman. Wally has had a tough night. He struck out 3 times in succession against Hershiser, the starter. Then he was retired on a ground ball to first base by Ken Howell. 0 for 4.
Mike Scioscia, the catcher, reminding the infielders to knock the ball down, where you just throw your body in front of the ball to prevent Ron Darling from scoring the tying run.
Even if they don't get Backman at first, that's
right.
their main concern. And Wally hits it in the air to left. Maldonado underneath it, and this should be the ball game. Hershiser picks up the victory. He is now 4-0 on the year, and Tom Niedenfuhr gets his third save as the third pitcher for Los Angeles on the night. And the Mets have lost 3 games in a row, and I believe for the first time this season. The Mets have lost a 1-run decision, one of the few times they have been on the short end of those kinds of games. So Niedenfuhr closes the door on the Mets, and Los Angeles wins the first of this 3-game series 4-3. Tim and I will be back with a wrap-up. Ralph is standing by with Kiners Korner, so stay with us. Now here's a word from Bud Light.
They sent him on a mission.
Under no circumstances are you to engage the enemy.
They set him up to fail.
You're the one who's making the mistake.
What mistake?
Rambo.
I'm coming to get you.
Stallone is back as Rambo. First Blood, Part 2. Rated R.
Now playing at a specially selected theater near you.
The Dodgers win it 4-3 here at Shea tonight. Steve Zabriskie back with you along with Tim McCarver. And it was 2 home runs really in the ball game by Greg Brock and Mike Scioscia that knocked Ed Lynch out of the ball game and provided the difference in the game. The Mets made 2 errors tonight as well, one of which led to a run. And so the starting pitching and the defense that have been so outstanding for New York and contributed to their success even with a lack of hitting did not do the job tonight. Ed Lynch had some outstanding outings over his last 5 starts, but tonight, Timmy, the Dodgers got to him, and again, the woes continue as far as the Mets bats are concerned.
Yeah, and if you have one area of your game, and the Mets have been struggling, it's really no secret. They have been struggling even though they entered the game tonight with the best record in the National League. When you put that much pressure on one area of your game, then it starts filtering over into all the other areas, and tonight it was the starting pitching. Of course, Ed Lynch gave up 4 runs, 3 of which were earned in 5 1/3. Not really that bad a job, but the 2 home runs in the 6th inning, as you said, eventually is undoing.
And the Dodgers bullpen, although a little shaky from Ken Howell, got the big out when they needed it, especially in the 9th after the Mets had put the tying run on, as Tom Niedenfuhr slammed the door to pick up his 3rd save of the year. So the line score in the ball game for the Dodgers: 4 runs on 8 hits and 1 error. The Mets with 3 runs on 8 hits and 2 errors. Orel Hershiser, the winner, is now 4-0. Ken Howell's 3rd save, or rather Tom Niedenfuhr's 3rd save in relief, and Eddie Lynch, the loser, is now 2-3 on the year. Tim?
All right, Steve, once again, the Dodgers 4 and the New York Mets 3. New York Mets baseball has been brought to you by Bud Light, the less filling light beer with the first name and taste. By Nissan, who invites you to test drive the sizzling 300ZX Turbo, one of the world's great sports cars. The 300ZX, it's awesome. By Express Mail next day service from the Postal Service. By Manufacturers Hanover, we realize your potential. And by Ivory, for a pure, natural kind of clean, lather up with Ivory. Fans, be with us again on Sunday at 1:30 when the Mets take on these same Los Angeles Dodgers. And also, be sure to stay with us for Kiners Korner. Ralph's special guest this evening will be the fine catcher of the Dodgers, Mike Scioscia. Mets Baseball 85 is produced by Bill Webb and Carl Shurkin. Directed by Bill Webb. Associate directors were Jeff Mitchell and Tom Schaffery. Technical Operations Manager, Arthur Gress. Technical Director this evening, Robert Goodman. Promotional consideration was provided by True Value Hardware Stores and Home Centers, bringing the world beautiful music with the Sanyo multi-band, multi-voltage stereo radio cassette recorder. Mets Baseball 85 is a production of Channel 9 Sports. Production facilities arranged through Vanda Communications. The announcers on the preceding telecast were approved and contracted for by Doubleday Sports Incorporated. So until Sunday, folks, good evening.
Have you heard? The hottest thing on radio is on television. Hot DJs tonight at 7:30 on News 9 Primetime.
Kiners Korner is brought to you by Mitsubishi Motors. Mitsubishi takes you where you want to be. By NatWest USA, the people and the resources you need today. And by Texaco, makers of Texaco Super Unleaded. When you're on the road, trust your car to the products with the star.
Well, hi, everybody. Welcome to Kiners Korner. And we have as our special guest in the show Mike Scioscia, who was the hitting star of the ball game, also the man that called the pitches for Hershiser as the Dodgers won the game by a score of 4-3. First time in town for the Dodgers, and both teams not hitting well as they came into this ball game. But the Dodgers with 8 base hits and the Mets with 7, and the Dodgers holding on to win it by 1 run. We'll be back to talk with Mike and take a look at the highlights of Mike's ball game right here and also at Hershiser's in just a moment, right after this message from Mitsubishi Motors. Well, our guest in the show here tonight, Mike Scioscia, who had a fine night out here tonight as he came up with 2 big base hits. Mike, you're from Morton, New Jersey, really?
Morton, Pennsylvania.
Pennsylvania, that's
yes.
where it is?
Right, it's on the good side of the river.
On the good side, and
right,
your battery mate, Hershiser's from Cherry Hill.
Cherry Hill, New Jersey, right across the river, right in the Philadelphia area. We didn't know each other growing up, but we had a lot of mutual friends, and we're about the same age, and I knew a lot of things that he did, and he knew a lot of things that I did.
Hershiser said his hero was Mike Schmidt. What about yours?
Mine was Willie Montanez when he was
a hot dog.
Yes, that's probably why I liked him. But growing up, Willie was a favorite in all of Philadelphia.
Well, you came back from almost injury that might have ruined your career, being a catcher with a torn rotator cuff. It was not exactly torn, but it was a real problem for you. Almost ruined your whole season in '83. Did, as a matter of fact, and then you came back good.
Right, I missed most of the '83 season with the injury, and a lot of people said I missed the '82 season too. I didn't have a very good year, so it was tough to have an injury coming off of a poor year. And it was a partial tear of the rotator cuff. They labeled it an ulceration. And our physical therapist, Pat Screener, did a great job with me, along with Dr. Jobe, who developed exercises. I did not need surgery, and I just thank God I'm getting a second chance to play.
Well, you started throwing very well.
I'm coming along. I had a lot to work on before I had hurt my arm. I was a little slow with my release, but I worked hard on it. I think I'm a little quicker getting rid of the ball, and my arm feels about 100% right now.
You know, in sort of a facetious way, your claim to fame prior to your last couple of years was the fact that you grounded into a double play that kept Fernando Valenzuela in a World Series ball game and went on to win it.
Well, I'll try to get in the record books anyway, but he, right, it was in Los Angeles against the Yankees, and Fernando was the on-deck hitter, and I think it was first and third or bases loaded, nobody out, but I happened to hit into a double play, but we got the go-ahead run across, so Fernando could still stay in the game. I think it was about the 6th or 7th inning, and he went on and threw a couple shutout innings, and we ended up winning the ball game.
Well, let's take a look at some of your action. Here's the top of the 4th, 1 man out. You had struck out your first time up against Ed Lynch, and Ed got you in a fastball looking on the strikeout. Right here, you get him.
Right, I think he started me off with a changeup, or he took a little off his sinker, and he got it up a little bit, and I just lumbered into second base.
So you're on with a double and did not score in that inning, but in the 6th inning, you came up with a big home run off Ed Lynch.
Right, he was a fastball inside. I think the count was 2-2, and just happened to get the head of the bat on it and managed to pull it and got it out of the ballpark.
And it was your second home run of the year. The Dodgers have hit 30 home runs, and 25 of the home runs have come with no one on base. That's one of the problems the Dodgers have.
Right. We've been having a lot of problems scoring. We feel with our pitching staff that if we can put together anything offensively, we'll be in the race.
Well, if you get pitching like you got today from Rick Hershiser, who is really a tough pitcher, he has great stuff. Good sinker, good curveball.
He does. People label him as a sinker ball pitcher, but he is a very hard sinker, and he gets a lot of strikeouts, has an outstanding curveball, and he has good control. He was behind some hitters today, and it's not really characteristic of Oral, but I think he has great stuff, and he went out there and threw well for 7 innings.
Well, let's take a look at his 6 strikeouts in the ball game. His first one was Wally Backman. And Wally having a real tough night against Hershiser. He struck out 3 times, runner at first base.
Right. This is a curveball down, and Mookie Wilson was running on it, and Billy Russell made a nice tag there.
And also, you made a good throw. That was a big strikeout double play.
And he came back the next time up and got Wally on a sinker ball.
Then in the bottom of the 5th, he goes against Ed Lynch.
Right. Well, he walked Ed his first time up and came back and threw a good curveball to get him to 2 strikes.
Walked him on a 3-2 pitch, then came back with a good curve here. Here's Backman again.
Right. Wally fished for that curveball. He had a tough night. I think he was 0 for 5, but he had the first 3 times he struck out. He's a competitor, and he'll bounce back tomorrow.
And there again, the good curve out of the strike zone.
Right. Now, Oral will set you up with his sinker, but he does get strikeouts with his sinker, and he throws a lot of curveballs for strikeouts also. But he moves the ball around, and he can throw the ball by you also. He'll throw a 4-seamer to keep it straight and get it by you, and that's why he's a complete pitcher.
Had 4 shutouts last year, that tied for the league lead, and also almost pitched a no-hit game. Are you catching that game?
I don't think I was catching that game. That's probably why he did so well.
Yes, Scioscia got a home run. I got a base hit on the 3-0 pitch.
As a matter of fact, I was catching that game. I remember that. It was into the 7th inning, and he went 3-0 on Nick Scioscia, and he was swinging and hit a clean base hit, line drive to left field.
Well, Mike, nice to have you in the show. Congratulations on a fine night. Good to have you here.
Thank you very much, Ralph. It's a pleasure to be here.
Mike Scioscia, and we'll return in just a moment to look at the highlights of the ball game, also the scores, and right after this message from Texaco. Well, the Dodgers won at 4-3. The highlights of the ball game: there was a paid crowd of 37,124, and I hope this guy paid his way in. As the New York Mets take on the Dodgers for the first time. This is Mariano Duncan. He singles into left field to George Foster, scoring Reynolds, who had singled, and it's a 1-0 ball game. Foster's throw was high, couldn't be cut off, and Duncan moved on down to second. And in the top of the 3rd, with Duncan on second, Landreau is up, and he hits this line shot to right field. Danny Heap has trouble with it, can't hold on to it, and it goes as an error, and it's a 2-0 ball game in favor of the Dodgers. On the play, Landreau went down to second. Now it's Mookie Wilson, and he singles to the shortstop. Should have been scored in there, but the ball not handled by Russell, and the Mets get their first run of the ball game. As Johnson scores, he had singled to 3rd. It was 2-1 the Dodgers. Now it's Brock up, and Brock takes a high fastball out to right field. For Brock, it's his 4th home run of the year. And for Lynch, it's the 7th home run that he has given up this year while on the mound. Now with 1 out in the same inning, Mike Scioscia is the batter, and he hits his 2nd home run of the year. That makes the score 4-1, and of course that is Lynch's 8th home run of the season that he has allowed. Dodgers out in front by 3. Now in the bottom of the 8th inning, the Mets come back. They score a run as Carter singles to left field. Mookie scores from 3rd base. Mookie 4 for 5 for the night, and the Mets now pull within 2. It's the Dodgers 4 and the New York Mets 2. In the bottom of the 8th inning, this ball should have been a base hit, a tough chance, as Foster pops it up to the 2nd baseman, and Duncan out there drops the ball. Very difficult play. Hernandez comes in from 3rd base to score. It's now 4-3. The Mets are just 1 run back. But the Mets cannot score. They get the time run on in the 9th inning. But with 2 men out, Backman flies out to left field, and that's the ball game. Niedenfuhr picks up his 3rd save as Hershiser picks up his 4th win against no losses. So it's the Dodgers 4 and the Mets 3 in the first game of this 4-game series. We'll return in just a moment with the scores of the other ball games around right after this message from NatWest USA. Well, in other games in baseball, Houston defeated the Cubs by a score of 6-2. The Cubs remain 1 game back of the Mets, who also lost. Sandberg had a home run, his 6th of the year. Ryan, the winning pitcher, his record 4-2. 36,548 saw that ball game. Ruthven was the losing pitcher for the Chicago Cubs. Montreal shut out San Francisco. The Giants had only 2 hits, a combined 2-hit shutout. Hesketh was the winning pitcher, 5-2. Reardon picked up his 10th save. Lasky, the losing pitcher for San Francisco, he's now 1-5. Raines a home run, his second of the year, and Brooks a home run, his third. And Montreal picking up the game in the Mets, and they are now in third place, 1.5 games back. San Diego shut out Philadelphia 1-0. Winning pitcher Gravecki had help from Gossage. Gravecki 4-2. Gossage got his 12th save. Denny, the losing pitcher, and his record now 1-5. San Diego got only 4 hits. Philadelphia got 9 but lost. And going to the bottom of the 11th inning, St. Louis playing Cincinnati. And in that ball game, Ted Powers now pitching for Cincinnati. Neil Allen for St. Louis. Cincinnati started in second place, 2.5 games out back of San Diego. Horton a home run. Tony Perez a home run, his third, and Van Slyke got his 4th. Pittsburgh over Atlanta 4-2. Winning pitcher was Wynn, his first win in the major leagues. Jason Thompson had his 6th home run. Horner got his 4th. Pedrosi, the losing pitcher, his record 1-3. Over in the American League, Toronto with the best record in baseball, and Toronto winning over Cleveland by a score of 7-6. They got 5 runs in the third inning to tack on a bunch of runs to win that ball game 7-6. And Mosley had a home run, his 4th. Witt got his 4th. Winning pitch in the game was Lamp in relief of Alexander. The losing pitcher was Rule. Rule now 1-3, and Lamp 4-0. Milwaukee over Minnesota 5-2. Winning pitcher was Burris. The losing pitcher was Smithson. Home runs by Gaetti, his 6th. Molitor, his 2nd. And Bernansky got his 12th home run of the year in the 9th inning with no one on. Chicago playing in Kansas City, and that ball game in favor of Kansas City by a score of 7-4 after 7 innings of play. Nelson now pitching for Chicago. Burns had started, and Quisenberry pitching for Kansas City came in the ball game in the 7th inning. Texas shut out Boston 1-0, and winning pitcher Charlie Huff. Charlie giving up just 6 base hits, now 4-3. Oil Can Boyd was the losing pitcher, his record 4-4. Yankees got 2 runs in the top of the 2nd inning. They're leading Oakland 2-0 after 1.5. Cali in the mound for the Yankees, 2-2. And Cotaroli was pitching and is pitching for Oakland. He came in with a record of 5-1. California running the bottom of the 2nd. They lead by a score of 1-0 after 2.5. Davis is on the mound for Baltimore. Slayton going for California. And Seattle leading Detroit by a score of 1-0 after 2.5. Wilcox on the mound for the Tigers, 1-2. Moore going for Seattle, his record 4-4. Well, the highlight of the ball game, well, it wasn't on the side of the Dodgers, as the Mets got the fine play in the ball game. Danny Heap earlier in the ball game made an error to allow an unearned run, but here he saves a possible 2 runs as he makes this play, and he makes it on Greg Brock. Brock with a home run in the ball game, and right here he bids for an extra base hit with runners at first and second, but Heap goes back, makes a good catch on this play, and that keeps the Dodgers from scoring any more runs. Let's take another look at this play. It is a good one. Danny Heap going back on the line shot. The ball hit extremely hard, not high in the air, and Danny makes that backhand grab as the ball sticks in the center of the glove. One more time, and Brock is out. So that's the story right here from Shea Stadium. The Dodgers defeating the Mets by a score of 4-3. The Dodgers 4 runs, 8 hits, and 1 error. And the Mets had 3 runs, 7 hits, and 2 errors. Hershiser, the winning pitcher, now 4-0, and the losing pitcher in the ball game, Ed Lynch, his record 0-3. Our next game will be Sunday afternoon at 1:30 when the Mets take on the Dodgers in the 3rd game of this 4-game series. The final score once again, it's the Dodgers 4 and the New York Mets 3.
Ralph's guest will receive a unique gift pack from Casio containing a mini keyboard, print display, hand calculator, and a 100-meter water sport watch from Casio, a world leader in consumer electronics. And a gift from ATV Stores, who feature Gabriel's gas rider shocks for superior performance and control under all driving conditions. For Gabriel and auto, truck, and van accessories, shop ATV. Ralph Kiner's Wardrobe by Stanley Blacker.
Kiners Korner has been brought to you by Mitsubishi Motors. Mitsubishi takes you where you want to be. And by Texaco, makers of Texaco Super Unleaded. When you're on the road, trust your car to the products with the star. Kiners Korner, produced by Carl Churkin. Directed by Bill Webb. Stage manager, Curtis Reed. Production assistants, Steve Olbaum and Carlos Ortiz.